Hello everyone, welcome back. This is where we stopped during the last session, and we'll continue from here. I haven't forgotten your responsive class and the Flexbox tutorial that I promised according to your request. But I will just try to finish on CSS selectors before we move on to Flexbox and responsiveness. Okay, so please bear with me. All right, we've talked about some CSS selectors. Talked about the universal selector, which is a star or asterisk. We talked about element selectors, so you can select elements directly, you can target elements directly, to apply CSS style rules to. We have our various elements, H2 and the rest of them. Okay, we talked about class selectors, which have this dot notation before the name of the class, like dot class name. Okay, so in this case the class name is form. We'll come here, we'll see class form. Okay, so this style rule is actually targeting this element that has the class of form. Okay, so that is that. We talked about ID selectors. Okay, in this case the ID is preceded by our pound symbol, okay, which is our hash symbol. Okay, hash ID name. In this case we are targeting any of our elements that have the ID of button. Okay, so let's look for that ID button. Okay, we have it here, ID button. This is what we're targeting with this style. We're saying the background should be green, color should be white, which is the text color. The border should be none, we don't need the border. The padding, which is the space inside the element between the element's content and the edge of the element, that's the padding. Okay, pause and think about that. This is usually confusing for beginners. Okay, we have the width property, talking about the size of the button in terms of width. Okay, if we come to our browser, we'll see what we have here. That rule correctly applies to this button we see here. All right, okay, that's what we have going on there. Okay, so then we talked about CDO class selectors. Okay, we talked about the invalid CDO selector. We'll talk about the valid CDO selector. These rules are fired based on the state of our form. Okay, our form input elements. If any of these return false or true, any of this one gets triggered. Okay, to understand how it works, visit our last video. Okay, so let's quickly go into today's business. Okay, today we're talking about attribute selectors in HTML. Attribute selectors in HTML. Okay, so it goes like this. All right, you use these selectors to select all elements within a given attribute. With a given attribute, or elements with a given attribute, or with a given attribute matching a specific value. Okay, let's break it down. For example, these are HTML attributes. We have class, everything here inside the opening tag are attributes. We have attributes, attribute name and value pairs. Okay, we have attribute class, the value is input field. We have type, the value of text. We have name with the value of username, and so on and so forth. So we have attributes at the opening tag of every element. Okay, an element might have no attributes, one attribute or more attributes. Okay, so what we're doing now, we want to learn how to target HTML elements, and apply style rules to them based on their attributes. Okay, so I could say I want every element that has a type attribute. Listen, this is not selecting every element that has a type of text or so. We are selecting every element that has a type attribute. Okay, if I impute an attribute named type on any element, the style rule that I should apply should affect it. Okay, that's what I'm saying here. I'll say open angular bracket type, close the angular bracket, and I specify. So this is an attribute selector. The syntax of attribute selectors is thus: attribute, that's the short form of attribute. Okay, then you open a block immediately after it. Okay, so let's go. I'll replace this word now with type. Okay, and I'll say it should have a color which should affect the font, the text color, a color of green. Okay, let's see if this would work. Now the elements that have the type attribute here on our form is the two inputs that we have, no, the three inputs that we have. Okay, the text input, password input, and the submit button. Okay, so let's go and refresh. And are you seeing here? Are you seeing here that the color is what? The color is green. Okay, see here, the color is green. Okay, let's take a look at our code. Why is styling not affecting the button? Okay, I will come here, come to our button, and we see here we're giving it a color of white. Okay, let's try something. I remove this, come back, refresh, and now it's green. That's why we're not seeing it. Okay, now what happens is that there is something called CSS specificity. Okay, you have to be specific about the rule you want to apply. Some selector are more powerful than others. Okay, when you use some kind of selectors, in this case now we're using an ID selector, and we can see that it's overriding the attribute selector. Okay, so when you apply CSS rules to elements, you ought to have this in mind. You have to be careful about CSS specificity. Okay, so in this case the ID selector is overriding the attribute selector. So if you have any clashing rules, okay, if you have same rules in both rule definition, one of them is going to override the other, and in this case ID, which is pound button, is overriding what we have here. So in this case now we have the color here and we have color here. So this color takes the highest precedence compared to this. Okay, if you want to see that it's actually affecting, I'll change this to red. Okay, and you see now that it's actually working now, because we do not have this color here. If I apply now, behind the scenes something goes on, and you see that it's working for this, it's working for this, but it's not working for this because this selector has more precedence, okay, compared to the attribute selector. Okay, so be careful about that. I could choose to enforce my rule here by saying important. When you add this keyword, any rule you specify has to override any other rule anywhere. Okay, let's see something. Let's try something. If I say important here, what happens? goes back to the default, because now both of them are important, so it has to look for another rule to apply to to know which rule to apply. Okay, so what did I just say? Both of them are having the same level of precedence. So what happens is that your browser just quickly checks, to decide which rule to apply to this specified element. Okay, so now we are targeting every element that has an attribute of type. We're also targeting the element that has an ID or button. Okay, what happens is that your browser goes through all the rules, tries to apply all the rules. Okay, it looks for selector precedence, and it decides to apply that of the ID selector, leaving that of the attribute selector. Okay, so if we want to enforce this rule, we have to get rid of this important here, and this automatically becomes more important than this. Okay, so the rule we apply here will be the one applied on this. Okay, I'm taking my time to explain this, as I will always say, because there are beginners who would like to know what's actually happening. Okay, so let's proceed. Now this is one form of attributes selector. Okay, I said that the attribute selector selects all elements with a given attribute, that is one, or with a given attribute matching a specific value. Okay, so we can actually say that if the attribute has this value, then apply this style to it. Okay, if an element has an attribute that has so and so value, then apply this style to it. Okay, let's say if type equals to text, then the color should be red. Okay, this is what I've just said. Now I've just said any element that has a type that equals text, the color should be red. Okay, let's go. Red, not red. You can see that here our username has a type of text. I come back here, our username input has a type of text, but the other input has a type of password, and the other has a type of submit. So the only place that rule will apply would be in our input field that has a type of text. That's what I said here. I said if the type is equals to text, the color red should apply. Okay, so we can have various forms of using the attribute selector. I hope I will be able to cover all of them during this series before we move to the next agenda. It will not be on this video. I'll cut the video into bits so that you don't get bored, according to popular request. Okay, so that's another form of making use of the attribute selector. Okay, so this selector can be combined internally with other symbols to mean different things. Okay, I could add symbols to this selector that would allow the effect to differ. Okay, yeah, I could say okay, should we do that in this video, or okay, just watch out for the next video. I'll be explaining more about the attribute selector. Okay, until then, I see you. Thanks for joining this session.